Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. We weren't going to go live today, but Cecil and I have been going through every single bit of transfer news today. The WhatsApp group has been popping off because there's just been so much to talk about. There's been so much. I mean, I know we always knew once the Conference League final was over, things would start to hot up, but I didn't think by like 10:30 the day after there'd be the amount of news we've had. There are quite literally 5, maybe even 6 players we need to talk about today. So we thought, let's go live. Let's get all your thoughts. Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll maybe run some polls as well. We'll give our reaction to it all. I don't even know where to start.
Nor do I.
But firstly, you're good, yeah? You're all good?
Very well, James. Like you just mentioned there, the WhatsApp group was going crazy this morning. I didn't think it'd be this quick. I know Robbie's happy because Transfer Daily starts in next week, and he's got a lot to talk about because there's loads coming out as we speak this morning.
Speaking of the boss, yes. I don't know if he's watching this.
Oh,
where is he today?
He is at the Soccer Aid training camp. So for people that don't know, obviously the Soccer Aid is this weekend. I believe it's Sunday. But they have a training camp where they invite a lot of the press and the media to come down to have a media day. And I'll be honest, I'm gonna let you know me. I like an event. I like a little, you know me. So I'm a bit jealous. But they're at the media day there. The training, there's all the people involved in Soccer Aid. They're there doing the press, doing the interviews, and also training. And Robbie is there. And he said on the video he should be playing, but he's got an injury to his calf. So that's the reason why he's not playing, apparently. He said he's going to save himself. Maybe for the Claw Cup. Get your tickets now. You might see him put on them shorts and play.
Absolutely do, by the way, get your tickets now. I'm so excited for the Claw Cup.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be great. But James, let's get into a lot of the news there. I don't know where to start. I'm going to let you lead on that. And my focus has been heavily on Declan Rice. But there's so much more to discuss, and like James said, to get your comments in because we want to hear from you guys. We've got about an hour and a bit to discuss it all. Loads to go through. I'm excited about this. I'm going to enjoy this one.
No, good on you because you were around as I was on my way in today to get a reaction out to all that Declan Rice news. Mm-hmm. For anyone who hasn't watched it, we won't go through it all because the video's there for you to go watch. But in short, it's really picked up a lot of pace. Now, if you're asking what I kind of was predicting post-Conference League as Declan Rice stuff happened, I was thinking they've won it. By the way, well done to West Ham. Just because they're a London club, there wasn't any part of me that wanted them not to win it. I know a lot of West Ham fans, and I was really, really happy for them. Good on them. Lamar, who was on DR Sports. We obviously know Nicky, Dan, so many of them. And I'm really happy for all of them, genuinely. What an amazing moment. I kind of thought, well, Declan Rice is going to just enjoy all that, which I'm sure he is.
100%.
And West Ham are enjoying, and that's great. But literally, just over 12 hours later. No, that's exaggerated.
No, stop.
It's not,
stop.
actually. It is about
It's
that.
12 hours. Dan Lawless, I spoke to him, big him up, West Ham Fan TV. I did a video on DR Sports. Do go check that out as well with him and getting his reaction on kind of, obviously them winning the Europa Conference League, but also the Declan Rice story was picked up so fast. And he was fuming with David Sullivan about how quick he just couldn't even let the fans enjoy or process what's kind of happened here over 40 years since they've seen a major trophy. And he was and you know what, it took me by surprise because I never looked at that angle. And he said to me, imagine Bukayo Saka, imagine you won the league this season, and not even 24 hours later, the morning after, the Kroenkes are saying Saka's free to go. I was like, wow, never even thought of it like that. But yeah, it's not a good look. And he was very angry, and it's something I didn't put into context.
Declan's interview was very like, hold on, I've got a contract. There's lots of rumours. I'm here to. Now, I didn't really think to myself, oh, that doesn't sound good for Arsenal. I thought, good on him. He's doing the right thing, and he's been, I think, the model professional throughout all of this. You know, you hear what Sullivan said about how he, turned down a contract because he didn't want to commit long term to West Ham beyond what he'd already committed to. Yep. That's cost him apparently £10 million in wages over the last 18 years had he signed that. 18 months had he signed that contract. But it's because he kind of has his heart set on leaving. Now, all this fallout so quickly, and the Sullivan thing's interesting. And I've got to say, I agree with Dan. I think first and foremost, he'll just be elated and over the top, as will a lot of West Ham fans, with the fact that they won the Conference League. Fantastic moment in their history. But I kind of agree, did that interview have to happen 9 a.m. the day after?
Going on
really?
TalkSport to just announce that.
But I also think, and I listened to a long part of it, most of it, he was talking about West Ham in general, spoke really well about Gold as well. And then sort of at the end he was asked, and he was just very honest. He said, we will honour how his commitment to us and what we'd agreed. But okay, so we've touched on that very, very quickly, and there were lots of other reports about imminent bid and all that. We'll come back to that. Let's talk about some of the new stuff that's emerged, because I'm just going to get up on my phone here. So this is, apologies, bear with me 1 second. This is an excerpt from, it was in the Times, I believe. It's about Arsenal going in for Caicedo again. Let me just read you some of the bits. Arsenal's move for Rice will be a test of their ability to get a big deal over the line after failing to land Moises Caicedo, Mudryk and Vlahovic in the last 18 months. That's true. We haven't really been able to get a really kind of big £70 million target over the line yet. We've spoken about that. Arsenal offered about 70 million for Caicedo in January, but Brighton said no. Blah, 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 goes on. And then it says Arsenal have a renewed offer for Caicedo, 21. Let me start again. Arsenal plan a renewed offer for Caicedo, 21, who's expected to leave Brighton, according to their head coach, De Zerbi. So that's interesting. Arsenal plan a renewed offer for Caicedo. This is while lots of other reports have been coming out saying that 70 to 80 million is potentially the fee that we could be looking at here. Romano has said that Chelsea are in the driving seat.
Yep.
So it's just like, oh my word, it's all really picking up pace. When you see how quickly the McAllister stuff has been dealt with by Liverpool and Brighton, and they look at how quickly the Rice thing is looking like it might move along, it gets you wondering about Caicedo.
For me, there's a lot of pressure on Edu, and people might be surprised with me saying that.
Yeah, I'm surprised. We told him that on Instagram.
I should message him. But no, on a serious note, there's a lot of pressure on Edu and the board. Chelsea, I'm hearing, like you said, Fabrizio saying that Chelsea are front runners for Caicedo's signature come this summer. For me, I find that poor from Arsenal in the sense that we're such an attractive club going into this next season, Champions League football, young team, good philosophy, good identity. I think we should be in the driving seat for that signature, considering, we put such high interest in him in January, and we know that Caicedo wanted to come. We've made it very clear. But Brighton, they said no. They obviously made him sign a new deal. I still think Arsenal should be front runners. Yes, I don't think it should exceed 100 million, especially if we're going to get Declan Rice for, I'm hoping sub 100 million. I'm saying here in around 90 million. I don't see Caicedo coming in for more than that. And I think down to Edu, it's your job, my bro. This is it. You've had time. You should be able to make the club look or sound attractive and make the player buy into it enough, and the club, to get that signature of Caicedo. There's a lot of pressure on him come this summer, but I believe we should be the front runners.
So there's lots of really interesting dynamics to this story. So this goes back to Rice a little bit. First and foremost, a lot of reports are sort of saying, well, for them to get Caicedo, they need to see what the outlay is on Rice. Now, that's a weird one in a sense, because you're thinking, well, we know it's going to be somewhere between 90 and 120 million. Yeah. So surely 30 million isn't going to really be the difference between whether they definitely get Caicedo or don't. I mean, maybe it is. 30 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But the other thing that's really interesting is West Ham. And I can't remember where I read this report. I'm really sorry. I do like to credit, or at least tell you where you can go find the full story if possible. But I was reading somewhere that West Ham prefer the instalments to all be in by 2025, but they would like the chunks actually separated quite evenly between this summer and next summer. I think it's something to do with
financial fair play.
Yeah, FFP and the staggering of payments. I think I'm very sure that's what I read. If anyone can confirm they also saw that in the comments, let me know, and I'll see if I can find it on Twitter. But that is very fascinating, because when we're talking about transfer budgets of like 200 million, let's say Arteta and the Arteta's been told by the Kroenkes, you got 200 million.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know, well, does the 200 million only count for upfront payments this summer, or does that 200 million mean anything that you push back to other windows and upcoming summers in the future years will also count? Because if it doesn't, then maybe 50 million goes on Rice this summer, and then there's 150 million still to play with. So I think that's going to be the interesting factor. How does the staggering of payments work with West Ham? No one ever really pays upfront 100 million anymore.
No.
It just doesn't really happen. There's always some sort of payment structure and things. I mean, hell, you can't walk into... I mean, on Amazon, I was ordering something earlier. I asked, "Do you want to split payments?"
Didn't you get you just got a brand new laptop that you could have split the payment for as well? Yeah, you're right. I think nowadays
that's what you can do, I think it's going to be very interesting how that structure with Rice works, and then you see kind of what you're left with Brighton.
So it's a dynamic I haven't actually considered, James, and thank you for bringing light to that, because you're right, most deals nowadays are structured, and the full fee, I read on it this morning, most clubs usually tend to want to spread the cost across the player contract. So if we sign, I said this in the video previously with Declan Rice, if we sign Declan Rice for 4 years, they expect us to pay the full fee by the end of the 4 years. However, I saw reports of it as well that West Ham are wanting to speed the process up and get more money over the line because of the financial fair play. They've been added to the watch list, a list that we're also on as well, funny enough. So they want to
get... I remember that. That was a while ago, wasn't it? They said that we will keep being kept an eye on. But it's also important to, sorry to cut you mid-point, but it's important to differentiate this with what is going on with Chelsea, which is the amortization of transfer fees. So when FFP come looking at this kind of semi-complex stuff, so I might be being a bit stupid or thick, not getting this right, but the idea is Chelsea have been handing out longer contracts, around 8 years, to comply more with FFP.
Correct.
Because of the amortization of the transfer fee, meaning that it's essentially looked at as covered over that spell, rather than like this summer, it's over 8 years. Therefore, I think it's more stomachable, digestible on the FFP front.
100%.
I don't think that's what... Yeah, that's very different to this situation.
I hear that. I think I'm with you there. I just think with the Caicedo, so the Caicedo deal, if it does affect it, surely that... I still think it'll be around, hopefully, 70 to 80 million. And if it won't be all, like you said, it won't be all spent at once anyway. You won't get the full fee, full 80 million straight away. And that'll be spread across it. And it is an interesting dynamic to say, would it be... If we got 200 million in the kitty, is that split between, or is it just a full? But it's never going to be the full amount there and then, because like we just said, that most deals don't happen like that. So, listen, I expect,
because that's also a bit of a gamble, because I mean, Barcelona did a little bit of this. You gamble on your signings and your immediate investment working out. So the Kroenkes might say, because the Kroenkes want to become more self-sustainable. There have been lots of reports about that as well. Mm-hmm. So they might get to a point where they say, we're going to go big on these signings now, because we're gambling that you're going to be in the Champions League the next 3-4 years. Yeah. Now that team, you're then getting them to a level where we're actually not worrying about dropping out of that. And that's what gets interesting as well. Like, is it that... There's a lot of factors to how this money might be spent, because if you're committing to large transfer fees that you're paying back over a certain amount of time, then there's you're banking on your team.
But if you're Arsenal,
you're banking on Arteta and the players to keep delivering.
And you must agree that they're surely going in. I expect Edu and Arteta to say, we expect to be in this Champions League for the next 2 to 3 years to compete. We're not here to take part. They've said that themselves. So I'm sure they would have went to the Kroenkes and they expect that. I get that they want to be self-sufficient, but I believe the board and us as fans, that's what we demand. I think that they'll be taking that valid risk in bringing in those sort of players, that the Caicedo and Rice. I don't know how much more we get if we get both. I'll be completely honest. Maybe a right back. I know a lot of people want to see a striker come in the window as well. Is that being too overambitious? Probably not. As a fan, I would like to see 4 signings. But
I don't think it is. And actually, let's go on to that, because there's a comment here from D Brown who says, we've beaten this Caicedo and Rice transfer speculation to death. How about others? Look, I respect what you're saying there, D, but I mean, what do you want us to do? I mean, Gary Jacob at the Times is coming out saying that Arsenal have planned a renewed offer for Caicedo. Add to that, they've also said that Arsenal want to sign another attacking player, a centre-back and a full-back. That's in the Times, came out this morning. Like, I get what you mean. It's almost exhausting. Trust me, it's exhausting for us talking about it. As much as I love what we do. Like, there's only so many different ways I could talk about Rice and Caicedo. But this is the rumours. This is the news, and it is building. It's slow, but we all want the big money transfers. These things don't get done like that. This isn't going to be a Fabio Vieira where we're chilling, recording a video about someone else, and then out of nowhere, by the end of the video, we signed a player that we weren't expecting. Now, I remember that day with Fabio Vieira. That was crazy, and it's not going to be like that with the Caicedos and Rices. So, unfortunately, we're just going to have to strap in for a little bit of flogging a dead horse at times. No, not a dead horse, but like there's going to be a little bit of, we're progressing so slowly. Are we really progressing? And then there's Chelsea in the mix. But it's very interesting.
But I also do want people to kind of take a step back and understand the transfer window's not even open yet. Like this is heavy links that we're getting before the window's open. I've been asking Arsenal to be proactive in the window for a long time. I've been seeing other clubs do it. That window's not open yet, and we're pretty much. It feels to me, Rice is certain. I mean, I heard this Rice deal was done way back in January. I'll be honest.
So I was going to ask you how much you wanted to say about it, but you actually came to us, all the way back in January. Now this is before it hit mainstream media.
100%.
You said, I've heard Arsenal are going to get Rice.
Yeah. So obviously, listen, I'm no ITK. Do not put me in that. I hate the word. I hate the title. I'm not that. I'm not. I have people in the game that are still currently playing, and things were said. It filtered. It got to me. I've said in January. From a very, very, it sounds like ITK-ish, doesn't it? It sounds so ITK-ish. A reliable source. But no, someone mentioned to me that there's been a pre-agreement, basically. I'm not going to say pre-agreement, but there's been said, the gentleman's agreement, let's go with that, that Rice will arrive. It was actually supposed to be either that January, but if it doesn't happen that January, this is before, by the way, the link was even spoken about, it will happen definitely.
No, when you told me, I was really surprised. I was like, I haven't seen this anywhere. Yeah. And then as the January transfer window was, it was either just before the end.
It was just before the end. It started to pick up a little bit.
Was it just before the end of the January window?
It was.
They said Arsenal want to go in for him, even though they wanted Caicedo.
Exactly that. So that was happening. Then, I heard just before that it was pretty much nailed on. But I said it. I kept it quiet. I floated around the office, and here we are. And even still, it hasn't happened yet. And transfers can come and go. Jude Bellingham did end up at Liverpool.
Willian did a medical at Tottenham.
Right.
Before going to Chelsea, there's a whole chant about it. You're so right.
So you got to be careful. That's why I don't want to have that title or anything. But it does seem pretty nailed on. But transfers, anything can happen.
But let's see, because I was years and years ago, before, as I was kind of realising that I maybe wanted to go into sports journalism and stuff, I was talking to someone who was at the Times before, really senior writer. Don't know why I'm not naming him, just because there was no point. Anyway, he said to me, he was like, Arsenal are serial ditherers in the market. Yeah. He was like, this was years ago. This was back in the Wenger days. This is long before the regime we have now. But it was just interesting. And you're right, things can go. He was like Benzema, Juan Mata. He was listing players. He was like, they had them. Like, we really thought they had these players, and then it just didn't happen.
Just to piggyback off that quickly, this is to give people context, and I want to give a shout out to Filthy Fellas, because they've had some big players on their channel recently. But even Troy Deeney was supposed to sign for Arsenal, but the comment, he had to apologise about the comment saying they have no cojones, and he refused to do it. And that's why he says it on the show why he didn't sign at Arsenal. And that's, to me, that was bonkers. That small little thing. It was a reason why. And also,
we did. He was going to join Arsenal.
I'm going to give you everything you need to hear. That's exactly. I promise you. And because of that comment, and they asked him to apologise for it, he refused to do it. He didn't sign Arsenal. He also has a Blues tattoo, and he was supposed to sign to Aston Villa, but they said you have to get rid of the tattoo. He refused to do that as well, and that's why he didn't sign to Aston Villa. This is how minute things can affect signings, which I've been involved in sport for a long time, but things like that, it blew my mind.
Troy Deeney on the thumbnail.
Might as well put him on as well.
Another player.
To discuss, but
today's been wild.
It's crazy. There's so much that can affect the transfer. So I never want to be labelled as an ITK, but that is very, very. There's context.
You might drop yourself in it, because Mike's in the comments going, "Is your source Edu?"
That would be a pretty reliable source.
That's quite a good one, isn't it?
That is a good one.
Yeah.
That would be a reliable source.
I've heard Declan Rice go to Arsenal. Who's your source? Declan Rice.
Fair enough.
That's not true. Before gets clicked up and people start thinking that's real. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's move on to some of the other stuff.
Get the likes up, people, as well. There's 1,800 of you in the room and listening. Please get the likes. We're only on 195. Get them up. Let's go into the next bit, James, because I know we've got a lot to get through.
We do. So, here's a little bit of news. Let me try to open the link back up. According to L'Equipe, French publication, via Get French Football News, PSG have joined the race for Gundogan. I don't think we need to say much more on Gundogan, other than we're not getting him off.
Ouch, that's a shame.
It is a shame, but we're not getting him, let's be honest.
PSG have entered, they say they entered the race now, yeah? Yeah. Yep, we're probably not going to get Gundogan. That's a shame, though, because I think he'd have been a great asset, and he's obviously he's coming to the end of his contract. I think he'd be superb here at Arsenal, but I suppose I also want Cancelo. How much more Man City ex-players do I want, Cecil? You need to maybe it's not too much of a bad thing that he's not coming to Arsenal. As long as he doesn't end up at another Premier League side, I'm pretty okay with that. If he goes to PSG, that's fine with me.
Yeah, and Cancelo was on my list here, and we talked a lot about it on Talking Transfers, the new show on AFTV. Go check it out. A sort of brand new way we're exploring the conversation around transfers and everything going on, and we're very much addressing what the ITKs are saying as well, because a lot of people who aren't official, but listen, God bless the news aggregators and people who are just trying to give us news and information, not the ones who are conning us and lying to us, but some legitimately do know stuff and are bringing us information. And it was... it was very interesting that Cancelo popped up again on the timeline, and people seem to be really confident believing in it on the back of the Sky stuff. And Sky are funny because there was a time where Sky Sports were like in the same way David Ornstein Romano, they're like, if Sky say it, then it's happening. And Sky sources. Mm-hmm. And to a degree that's still true, but there's just so many different outlets for kind of information and transfer news now. But when they came with the Cancelo stuff, I remember being a little confused because I thought, really? But this, sometimes there is just one that a publication gets, and you don't really take it fully seriously. Like TalkSport were the first to mention Arsenal wanting Trossard about 2-3 days in January. This was 2-3 days before it actually just blew up everywhere. Wow. And everyone gave Fabrizio Romano a lot of credit for coming first there, and credit to him because he was there to confirm he and all that, and he did a great job on it. But I think it was Alex Crook at TalkSport who was very quick to come with that and say Arsenal were interested, kind of keep an eye. Wow. So I thought, well, I'm not going to dismiss anything here. They're saying Cancelo. I haven't really heard it from anywhere else. But it just got me thinking, maybe there is. Maybe Arsenal just quietly in the background working on this, and Sky have caught wind of that. And
it could have. I honestly, we did talk in transfers, and I want Cancelo. I really do. But do I believe he's going to come to Arsenal? Probably not. But like you just said there, you'd never know. Things pick up out of nowhere, and Cancelo for me seems like a rightful fit for Arsenal. I really believe that. And if it does happen, I'm gonna have to applaud some of the people at Arsenal. I have to applaud their due. But that is a big sign that for me, my want is around 90%. The belief of it happening is very low. But if they get over the line, we bring in the midfielders, we'll be in good stead for a strong competitive squad come next season. But listen, you never know what can happen in a transfer window. You really don't.
Let's go. We've got a super chat here. Let's have a little
super chat here from Miles Smith.
Yeah.
He says, I get the window is not open, but players are already moving clubs. Brighton have let McAllister go. Why aren't Arsenal moving faster for Caicedo?
Well, because again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier in the video, which is that Declan Rice is clearly their priority and their number one, and they want to wait and see kind of how that deal looks and what that leaves us with.
I agree. I think I think it's very clear that Declan Rice is our main target. And how much faster do you want them to move? They're moving. I feel like they're moving very fast. Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Once that's done, I think they look to the next target, which might be Caicedo. We spoke about today that they've renewed an offer for Caicedo. But how fast do you expect them to move? I think they really are trying to. And be respectful as well with Declan.
That's something Sullivan pointed out. He said,
a decent club waits and respects. A team's just won a major European trophy. So we've got to respect that. You can't move too fast. They're moving at fast pace. In my opinion, they're moving at good pace for Declan Rice. I think next you'll see them push for Caicedo, and there may be some sneaky ones that we don't expect, like what we saw with Fabio Vieira or Marquinhos out of the blue.
So let's talk about some of the other players. We weren't fully linked with him a little bit, or I guess we were a bit. James Maddison, according to the Telegraph, 50 million is what Leicester are looking for.
50 million for James Maddison. James Maddison is a very good player.
Yeah,
a very good player, and there's a lot of people in his position that are out there on the market. I don't know if I'm sold though on him coming to Arsenal. I think the links have been around for a while.
Apparently Tottenham are front runners.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that'll frustrate me. No, it wouldn't. If he goes there, that's fine. And I feel like he's probably better suited to go there.
Rose says Maddison would be class.
Would you like Maddison, James? Is Maddison someone who's top? Who's quite high up on your list? I think a lot of the reason
Maddison better than Mount, says Neil. Sousa.
I liked Mount. Where are you at? Because for me, James, quickly, the Maddison deal, it's only, I think, should be sanctioned if, depending on who the outgoings are in this Arsenal midfield. I think there's so much eyes on players coming in the midfield at Arsenal, but there's so much congestion right now in that midfield. The likes of Jorginho's still here. We've got El Neni still on a contract. I know it's looking like they'll move on. Jorginho, we're going to speak about in a bit later. Partey's still here. Granit Xhaka, it's not left yet. It's looking like he will leave, but that's a lot of midfielders I just mentioned. We've still got Lokonga in the midfield that is there. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of players, and then we're linked to all these other players. Declan Rice seems close. You know, Caicedo, we're looking to bring in. Maddison, I have been talking to people on Spaces and in the public. 3 midfielders, is that enough? And people are like, that would be amazing if Arsenal do that. I would never expect Arsenal to get signed 3 midfielders in the summer window. It's very, very, very unlikely. But so for me, the Maddison thing sounds nice. I just don't see it happening. I feel like the focus is Rice and Caicedo.
Okay, well, I think some comments will help me kind of get to my answer. So Darren says Maddison can't press, so it's a no for me. Joshua says he'd be a good backup for Odegaard. Abu though says let us get Maddison. Rummage Around says Maddison is class. And now this comment here, Vision Business, says Maddison in, Vieira out. So my answer to the question is, it depends how legitimately ruthless and ambitious Arsenal are going to be this summer. Chelsea were incredibly ambitious the last 2 windows. That didn't actually lead to anything good.
Yeah, of
course. It was a complete mess. They're ambitious, they pulled a lot of it off, but it was messy. Apologies, I'm having hiccups. So, if you said to me now, forget everything else, no other transfers impacted by this, Vieira goes out on loan, Maddison comes in. Yes, 100%. Maddison's a better player than Fabio Vieira. And I actually really like Fabio Vieira. I'm not one who thinks he's washed, that he's not good enough or weak, too weak. You know, people talk about his stature. Like, I'm not worried about any of that. Get him on the ball, he can play. Like, he just needs confidence. He needs a little bit more time in the league and in this team as well. I'm not worried about Fabio Vieira. But would I love it if he went and got that right loan and experience and we brought in Maddison? That'd be great. We'll be better off next season for having James Maddison in the squad as an option. But I don't think it's a priority as much as sort of other positions are. And I think the fact that Smith Rowe's staying, and then you've got Smith Rowe, Vieira, Odegaard, you know, Rice is probably going to play in that Xhaka role. Trossard has played in the 10 before. You start thinking, do we really need to get a Maddison in for 50 million when there's other options?
You're not worried? Just one question, because I've asked everyone this, and everyone kind of is like, Martin Odegaard though, if he goes down, his replacement, do you think those players that you mentioned, Emil Smith Rowe, Trossard, can step in and still provide that sort of quality, or is it a massive drop?
Maybe, but people say this about Odegaard. We signed Odegaard for 35 million, having seen him be really good on loan, and he actually went to spell out the team because Lacazette and Aubameyang were starting up front together. You know, like, you know, so there was a point where where Arteta himself was happy not to have Odegaard. Now we can't dream of the 11 without Odegaard in it. Of course, because he's playing so well, and we've gone up levels since back then. I understand, but there was a point where Odegaard was a permanent signing at Arsenal, and he wasn't actually in the starting 11 because we just found something else that worked. Fabio Vieira has come in for around the same fee as Odegaard, but hasn't been anywhere near as exposed to the starting 11 and the responsibility that Odegaard has. Odegaard's had the opportunity to grow. He scored a goal. You know, he played behind closed doors first. He had the opportunity in that North London derby and scored. He had that big performance at West Ham. You know, he grew, and then he took the armband, and he got better and better last season. Went on this year, he's been immense. But Vieira hasn't had the same minutes and exposure to get to that. So if you told me now, you know, basically Odegaard, obviously I don't want Odegaard injured, but if there were a game like Brentford away last year, Odegaard misses, Vieira comes in, I'm not expecting some big drop off from the team, because I think the one thing Vieira hasn't been able to do is actually play the one role I think he's best suited for, which is Odegaard's role. Yeah. He's played on the right for Saka, he's played on the left for Xhaka, and that's it. And he's played false nine against Sporting for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, don't remind me about that. Yeah,
but he's never played where I actually think he belongs. So yeah, I'm not too.
Which is where we saw him shining, right, against Brentford and score that very good goal. So you make a good point there, James. Let me read some of the super chats that have come in, because there's a lot of them flying in. Big up everyone that's getting involved here. Ola Raboro says, thoughts on buying Kulusevski as backup for Saka. Now, this actually popped up in a conversation I had on a Twitter space. We said, Oh, I'd love to see Kane sign at Arsenal. And then someone went one better and said Kulusevski. Said the same thing you just mentioned there as a backup to Saka. He is an Arsenal fan as well. Has got on a bit. Yes. They didn't want it. Yeah.
And I know that some Arsenal fans, or others, might rightly say, but he was rubbish this year. His numbers were poor.
No, he's a good player in there though.
I've seen enough.
Yeah.
I've seen enough that there's something there, and I think he could be really suited to what Arteta does with his wingers, which is play really wide, stretch the pitch, and you've got to be both a runner and a finisher, but a big thing is a creator as well from wide, because that tends to be where the space is, where you are able to be creative. I think Kulusevski would be perfect. I don't think it would ever happen, if I'm honest. No, not would ever happen. I just think Arsenal have other priorities, and I think Tottenham will ultimately do the deal, but they're really wasting time. Like, they've got this opportunity of a permanent transfer. I don't know how long they've got to action that, but they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I think Kulusevski would be a good fit for us. I think you're right there. KD with Super Chat says, how is Liverpool able to get Gakpo, McAllister before the window starts and we never able to do it? Big summer for Edu. What are your thoughts if he cannot deliver?
But we need to relax on this because Tottenham were really quick last year with some of their signings. And I remember the meltdown a month into the window on this channel.
I remember it.
And I remember sitting on a live show with Robbie, and I was saying to him, I'm not bothered about this Basuma thing. And we had a massive debate. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it very clearly.
No Arsenal fan all season has said, damn, if we had Basuma in this team right now, though. Not one person has said that this year. Okay, maybe one. I haven't seen him.
No, I haven't. I would have taken Basuma, but no, no one said that though of recent.
So my point is that, what is my point? How do we get onto this? That let's not freak out because Liverpool got McAllister done. Cool, well done. Like, that's £35 million deal. They've done that well. They got themselves ready and they've got him in. Nice.
Yeah, I think we're overdoing it a little bit. Like I just mentioned earlier, the window's not even open.
I actually think Arsenal fans are quite relaxed. I think everyone's quite relaxed. I think they're like, yeah, cool.
Last summer, we didn't move amazingly fast, but we had a very good window. We had a very good window and brought in players that I didn't think were going to reach the heights that they did, but it wasn't done straight away. They were good signings, they were shrewd, and we got it done. Liverpool, let's not forget, they were targeting Jude Bellingham. They were taking him to Chris Brown concerts, they were going out for dinners at Nando's and all that, and he ended up going to Real Madrid. So they've moved quick with Alexis McAllister and Cody Gakpo. I've mentioned that in many videos, but they have also missed out on their number one targets as well, players that they also have likened to bringing in. So slow down, breathe, it's okay. We haven't missed out on our targets yet. I don't think we will, but we haven't yet. So let's just wait. The window's not even open yet. We have another super chat here. There's quite a lot of you guys sending them in, so thank you very much. Abdullah says, should easily get Rice, Caicedo, Havertz, and Cancelo. Blimey. Let's say they cost 100 million for Rice, 80 million for Caicedo, 50 million for Havertz, and 60 million for Cancelo. Sell KT for 30 million, Pepe on a free, Xhaka for 15, Cedric for 5, Tavares for 15 million, Nketiah for 30 million, Balogun for 30 million, Lokonga for 15 million. Less than 100 million net spent.
Let's answer that properly with the next rumour.
Okay, we'll go into that in a second and read this following super chats. KD back with a super chat says, Maddison backup for Odegaard is a no-brainer. Who else can play at 10, press and able to make a difference? We need another playmaker.
Fair point.
Miles Smith back with a super chat as well says, why he respectful? We're Madrid respectful.
Why be respectful?
Why be respectful? Were Madrid respectful when they agreed the Bellingham deal while Dortmund were fighting for the title? This is what elite clubs do.
Yeah, but hold on. That's not strictly true though, Miles, because technically Arsenal and Real Madrid's kind of pacing with Bellingham and Rice seems identical. It was only yesterday that the breaking news came through that a deal was agreed. That's just the deal agreed. That's not like announcement with the shirt or anything. That's just deal agreed, 88.5 million. What came out beforehand was that, it's looking like it's definitely going to be Real Madrid. He's made his choice, blah, blah, blah. That's pretty much what we know about Rice and Arsenal. It's not as advanced.
No, it's
pretty much the same.
Yeah.
He wants Arteta. He wants Arsenal. Arsenal put in the groundwork. Arsenal have, figured out a situation and, understand roughly what it's going to take to get him in. Apart from maybe that one step further, it's pretty much in line with how Real Madrid have done the Bellingham stuff.
I think it's very similar. I think you're right. I think there's other interest from other clubs for Rice, but Arsenal seem favourites. They seem like they're front runners. We know Bayern Munich were interested. He snubbed them off because he wants to stay in London. It seems very, like you said, very similar. Just hasn't got the shirt in hand.
Nothing's through the door yet. Nothing's been signed, and until they're holding the shirt, like I'd always say, to temper expectations. But let's just be fair to Arsenal for a sec, because we always do this whole acting like a big club. I don't fully know what that means a lot of the time, because Real Madrid act in a very different way to Chelsea, act in a very different way to Liverpool, act in a very different way to Man City. You know, for a long time, Man City didn't have a signing over 60 million, but apparently to be a big club, you've got to spend 100 million on a player. Yeah. Grealish was their first and only one, I believe. So sometimes I think that's a bit... What Arsenal are doing, from what we're reading, is promising a really ambitious summer, at least in attempt-wise, and are getting really ahead with one of their top... We heard about this in January.
Yep.
Now, back in January, what was everyone saying? And I get it. At the time, they were going, oh, but we need players now. We need players now. Okay, cool. But now, going into the summer, we're wanting stuff early. You almost think, well, we've kind of known about this all the way since January because the work's been put in since then. So I think let's just give a little bit of credit to Arsenal. Maybe not credit yet, but I think we can all be optimistic about how Arsenal are approaching this window.
Thank you very much. Who's Arsenal's top target is a poll going into the chat right now. I'm going to finish off these last two super chats before we get into the next bit of news. Kwame says, what do you guys think about Burnley's wide player Manuel Benson as cover for competition for Saka? The Belgian player, I believe. I haven't seen much of him. I don't think he's the one that Arsenal is to bring cover for Saka. I think there'll be other options out there. If not, Reece Nelson, I think, overshadows Manuel Benson, in my opinion. Ricky Proctor with a super chat says, agree with James on last summer. I think it's because of Mudryk and Caicedo experience in January that some fans are being overly hasty, and that is probably a very good point to make, to be fair. I think people are getting a bit antsy because of that.
I actually think everyone's fairly relaxed, to be honest. Maybe a little bit here and there, but I think generally everyone's quite relaxed. But Gunning You Down says identical question mark. So I don't think I said Bellingham and Rice were identical. I said they were similar. But he said Bellingham was a Madrid player last month. Gunning You Down, show me the picture of him holding the Real Madrid shirt. That's because he's come back again. Or she's come back again saying, James saying Arsenal and Madrid do transfer business at the same rate. I didn't say that, but take it as you wish. I said that when it comes to these two particular deals, I don't think there's much difference in the pacing, to be honest. Bellingham a bit quicker.
Yeah, 100%.
But otherwise, we pretty much know a lot of the same stuff.
100%. I think, right, listen, now it's time to move on to the next, I believe.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I know there is a topic I did see pop up this morning.
I'll fill everyone in on this. It actually concerns a Chelsea player and then a former Chelsea player. So let's start with the current Chelsea player. Kai Havertz, wanted by Real Madrid. Alex Goldberg, who's on the Byline podcast, Chelsea fan. I know he's done stuff with Matisse as well before. Mm-hmm. He came out and said that Arsenal have shown an interest in Havertz, I think mainly on the player side, he said. I saw it doing the rounds on social media. I'm sort of being able to hear it word for word myself, but that's kind of the rumour that was going round. I'm not sort of saying that I believe this is true or not. I mean, over the years, Arteta has, and Arsenal have been linked to certain players that I've thought, no way. Aaron Ramsdale being one of them. And it's sort of really... I've been so surprised in a good way with how maybe certain things have turned out. Other things I had more hope for, and they've not gone the way I wanted. But let's not keep it too long because we don't really know what's happening. But do you want Kai Havertz at Arsenal?
James?
I think I agree. I know what you're going to say, and I think I agree.
Yeah, look, I'll give my opinion and my thoughts. Kai Havertz is a big no-no for me. And listen, I respect every player that's made it in the Premier League. It's one of the most difficult achievements to ever do, overcome, or make, being a player in the Premier League. But for me, Kai Havertz, I'm just not. I've never been a fan of him. It's not even a. He's linked to Arsenal. He's never been a player that I've liked. I think he hasn't even hit 10 Premier League goals. I don't think ever. He's hit.
That's a time for stats to come.
He's never hit 10 goals. I think he's. I know people keep talking about I want a big, tall, physical striker. Yes, he's tall. I don't think he's that physical. He's not a clutch player. People keep talking about that we need a striker that, you know, is going to score a certain amount of goals for Arsenal and be that bagsman. Havertz is not that. He really isn't. He scored some nice goals, but when it comes to an actual goal scorer for the size he is and what he can offer, I think Havertz is the complete wrong direction. I'm glad you said it's only on the players' interest front. It's not actually
7 league goals this year.
Yep, 7 league goals this year.
League. So he got 10 goals and assists in 47 games.
But if you go in the Premier League, any season that he's been there, I don't think he's ever hit over 10 goals in the league. In the Premier League, for me, Havertz is a big no-no.
In the Premier League, he's got 19 goals in 91 games.
In one season, yeah, but I'm saying in the season, in one season, he's never hit 10 goals in the Premier League in a seasonal year.
You are right.
I'm correct. Listen, I know about Havertz. I don't know what I think as a player I watch, and as a striker, I thought, wow, you're very tall. You should be physical.
His output was bloody good at Leverkusen also.
Yeah, Leverkusen. I think he hit 18 goals in one season. So that fair enough. But in the Premier League, I just think he's very tall. He doesn't offer much when it comes to a clutch player. We need a clutch player up front. We need someone who's going to score a load of goals. I love Jesus. I love him. But I've been on him for not scoring enough goals for Arsenal, even though he had injuries this season. I don't want that with Kai Havertz. I don't think he'll be able to score the goals. I don't think he's technically as good as Jesus either. I think there's better in the market. For me, I really hope that Havertz link is just paper talk and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, so here's my biggest issue with Kai Havertz. What is he?
This is the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly, he's just
honestly don't have a clue. Is he a striker? Is he a 10?
I don't know.
Is he like a midfielder for a midfield 3?
I know you look at him and you think, wow, you're extremely tall. You should be able to pin the ball, hold it well. I don't see him do that massively well at all. He hasn't got a load of pace. He's not rapid. I'll tell you that for a fact. He's not a rapid player.
No, but Cess, I think he's meant to be. I think he's meant to be fairly quick.
But he's not.
Well, I mean...
Well, when I've watched him, I don't think
Football Manager says he is.
Look at all the positions he's... Yeah, what position? I don't...
Right, so he's got 143 appearances as an attacking midfielder across all the clubs he's played for. 78 as a striker, but Chelsea have like almost... Chelsea have almost exclusively played him as a striker. Let me just have a little look.
I wouldn't call it... Yes, I'm saying I wouldn't say he's a striker.
69 games as a striker for Chelsea. Only 54 as an attacking midfielder. I've got to ask myself how a player, just before he signed for Chelsea for 70 million, is rated like a generational talent, the next big thing. He's got everything. He's got a pass. He can play up front. He can play in midfield. He's got a cultured left foot. He's tall. He's got a bit of, he's skillful as well. Good in tight spaces. He can do a little bit of everything. Comes to Chelsea, and he doesn't really look like he can do anything. Now, I will, with everything, okay, Chelsea are a mess of a football club. And quite literally everyone, bar Thiago Silva, is being dragged to their level. Maybe Reece James, or he's having the injuries that are keeping him away from it. I don't know.
But even before this season, would you say Kai Havertz, what a player, what a player he is, what a striker, or whatever position he plays, what a player Kai Havertz is before this season? Because I agree, this season is for Chelsea has been horrendous. Whatever player goes there is stinking. But even before this season, I was saying Kai Havertz is not the one. He really isn't. Even internationally, I went and watched him against England last year. He scored a banger, but apart from that, he offered nothing.
Well, T Yassine says, James, as someone who watched Havertz at Leverkusen, his best position is as a second striker in a 4-2-3-1, which he never played at Chelsea. Okay. Yeah, that might be what he is. I also think that position's gone out of fashion a little bit. It's different to being a number 10. It's more the way Dele Alli played behind Harry Kane. The reason I don't want him, forget the fact that I don't rate him massively, but I'm also in that camp of, if Arteta wants a player, I kind of back Arteta and whatever. But what I would say is that I don't know what problem he solves. He's left-footed and has played out wide, but I don't see him at all as a backup for Saka. He can't do anything like it.
No way.
I don't see him as a striker because you're talking about, not you, but people mention presence. just because you're tall doesn't mean you have presence.
He hasn't got that.
Jesus is shorter and has infinitely more presence, and he hasn't cracked 6 foot. So I don't think Havertz is the answer as a striker. The other thing is, does Arteta do the opposite of what he did with Xhaka? He pushed Xhaka up the pitch. Does he bring Havertz back and turn him into some box-to-box goal scoring? Let's use your height and your skill for something. Maybe.
I don't see it. And
neither do I.
And you know what? I'm going to end it with saying what you said at the beginning. Listen, Arteta's brought players in and I've got it wrong. Ramsdale was definitely one of them. Even Ben White for me. And not that I was slandering them coming in. Not as much as if I would, for in my opinion, Havertz, because I'm not a massive fan of him. But yeah, Arteta, if you do bring him in, hopefully he gets it spot on, because I don't see it. I don't think he, like you, I don't think he works for Arsenal at all. But Arteta might have something up his sleeve. It is very early on. It's probably it's a low percentage that it's going to be done with Havertz. But I know it floated around this morning.
Saksham's right. Tony's about 5'11", but he's so difficult to handle. I don't know if he's quite as short as 5'11". You might be right. But yeah, really, really good point. Before we get into the fun super chats, let's just go into the last bit of news of the day. There's been so much around this. So I think it first came from a. Oh, by the way, just to confirm, no one people don't want Havertz in the comments, right?
Let's just end the poll that we got in right now. Who's Arsenal's top target? I think that's winning with Declan Rice, 69%.
I actually want to rephrase that. So I don't want to do what we did with Ramsdale, which is everyone goes no to Ramsdale. We don't want him, and he comes and he's brilliant. And actually, we all love him. And according to Lee, he's a really nice guy. You've seen all that.
No, he is. He actually is.
Oh, well, of course, you talked to him as well, and I'm sure he loves tactical insight as well.
I think he's a big fan. No, generally.
I was joking. You don't have to do that.
I'll ask him next time.
I don't want to do that. And suddenly we actually do sign Havertz, and suddenly we're all kind of looking a bit like, oh, he's actually quite good for us, and maybe we judged him a bit wrong. And we did a similar thing with Jorginho. I just don't really rate him massively, and I don't think it makes sense to bring him in. I don't know what even with Ramsdale. I was like, well, maybe he's the goalkeeper upgrade we needed on Leno, but I don't see what Havertz could possibly be to this team. But I'd love to know in the comments what people think.
Yeah, let us know if the people in production, if you can do a poll, Havertz to Arsenal, will you be happy or yes or no, then that'll be good. I'll be interested to see what people say in the comments. And also, James, we can be wrong. We can be wrong about a player if he may come and may do amazingly well, and that's just how it is. But when Ramsdale came, he was coming in as a number 2. I don't slate him that much. I thought the price was quite hefty, and I've kind of bought in a little bit. So he's been relegated to the clubs he's been at, but I thought he was coming as a number 2, and then in the end he fought and he got the number 1 spot, and he deserves it. So we can be wrong, and that's just how it is. But for me, Havertz, no. Anyway, next bit of news.
So Jorginho, it was a Lazio page that basically that was the first I saw that Maurizio Sarri had him at Napoli, brought him to Chelsea, played him in that 6 role when everyone screamed for Kante to be there, but he stuck with it. He wanted Jorginho in that position. Now everyone wants a dictator from deep, but they all ripped Sarri apart at the time for doing that. Sarri has since left, been at Juventus, now at Lazio. I can't remember if there was a club in between. Jorginho left Chelsea, now at Arsenal, was there a long time. They could want him. Now, we only signed him in January. They're saying that Lazio and Sarri want to bring him back to Italy. I think he's probably open to the move. Let me just give you what some of the reports are saying. According to Gazzetta, Italian publication, Lazio are using Sarri to convince Jorginho to come. If Jorginho does want to leave, Arsenal demand a reasonable fee. And then according to Corriere, I'm not even going to try and say it, Corriere dello Sport, there we go.
That's bro. Don't look at me because
Mum gets annoyed at me if I don't put the accent on.
Oh, I
because
see.
She's like, speak proper Italian.
Yeah, they want to hear that. You should do that.
Anyway. At Core Sport. Lazio discussing the possibility of signing Jorginho. The idea has made a comeback yesterday. If Sarri commits to the player would have a reduced salary and expectation that he will ask for a 3 to 4 year deal. So, lots of reports. Jorginho, would you sanction a move? Would you let him leave?
Yes, I would.
Really?
Yeah, his contract's up next summer, 2024, I believe, or January maybe 2024. We only signed him really as a stopgap, in my opinion. That's what the deal was, and obviously with an option to extend. I think he came in. I think he did what he needed to do. We only brought him in for 12 million, around 12, 13 million. I think he earned that back with the Aston Villa goal. And he came in and filled in when we needed to, especially when Thomas Partey started to, dip in form.
He did well.
I'm
going to stick my neck out. I said on Forever Arsenal, like when we were doing the player ratings, I said if you're going purely on minutes played and what they've given in those minutes played, Jorginho's probably like an 8 because I think he's just been brilliant. I mean, really good at home against Chelsea, brilliant away at Newcastle, brilliant away at Leicester, brilliant away at Villa. Like when City certainly wasn't his fault. He didn't start the Liverpool West Ham games. You start to wonder why Arteta never even brought him on. For example, in the Liverpool game, we were trying to hold on there. Maybe his debut against Everton, he looked a little shaky, but that was it. Otherwise, I haven't had a problem with Jorginho at all. I think he's been really good. But would I sanction a deal? Yes, the money's right, and I'm talking 15 million or so, which would be a profit on what we signed him for. Selling for around 15 million, probably wouldn't get to that much. And we, make sure the replacements coming in. I don't want to just keep losing players. I mean, you can lose Xhaka and Jorginho, yeah?
Yeah.
They were our starting midfield in a 2-0 win away at Newcastle. So who's coming in? And then what are you adding on top of that? Because the problem was depth, not just quality. It was both. My
thing is, listen, I've been very critical. I said that if Arsenal looked to move on Thomas Partey, I wouldn't be too shocked and it wouldn't be too saddened about it. So for me to then say Jorginho to stay doesn't make sense. I think Jorginho should be sanctioned to move on. I think that's a nice contract as well in Italy, a 4 to 5 year in Italy. I think he's had a great career, Jorginho. He's won pretty much it all. I think he can leave with his head held high. I think he's come in, like you said. I think he came in for a low fee, and then he earned his right to put on an Arsenal shirt. I've been a fan of Jorginho this second half of the season. I'm surprised to say that myself because I was quite when he came in. But no, fair play to him, and if he does go, that's fine. But like you just mentioned, we have to replace him. Arsenal, Edu, the board, they know this. We've got a lot of options in the midfield that aren't to the level of Champions League football and consistent other cup runs and the Premier League next season. So you need to replace. But if Jorginho does go back to Italy or gets a new deal, that's fine. But the main point is you have to replace him because he actually came in and for me, he done a good job.
I agree. A comment from his name is All Pissed Up. It's a great name.
Is he a West Ham fan? Was he enjoying from last night?
That's a good point. It says, James, as a fellow Italian, you have to learn to say Corriere, mate. I can say it, I just can't roll my R's. So that might have sounded vaguely normal, but I just struggle to roll my R's.
We have we've got a super chat here. We've got a few super chats. Let me just read back from what we've got. I think it's Daniel with a super chat. Yes, Daniel was the last super chat. Says, we need someone with physical presence as at a centre forward so we can go long at times. Look at City away. We couldn't get out from the back. Kai Havertz is tall enough. He is tall. No, listen.
He's tall enough.
He's not strong enough. And we mentioned this already. Yes, he is very tall. He is. But it's the being able to hold the ball up, the presence, and can you do that with that height? I'm a tall striker. Actually, let me give myself credit. I can hold up the ball as well. But Kai Havertz, unfortunately, he doesn't. I don't believe he possesses that.
You're the answer, Cecil.
No. My days are done. My days are done. But no, I get what you're saying there, Daniel. Obviously, Haaland does it very well. But Kai Havertz, for me, I don't believe he does that. I may be wrong. But I think people in the chat as well, the poll is still going on. You can get involved. 558 of you have voted. Havertz to Arsenal, yes or no? 79% say no. 21% say yes.
All Pissed Up says he's a City fan, and actually the picture of Pep should have given it away, but you never know.
Ricky Proctor with a super chat says Lukaku or Tony as a plan B striker.
Tony
versus Havertz. Yeah,
Tony
even with the ban and even not. Wow.
Yeah, I like Lukaku, but he joined Chelsea and then was talking about wanting to go back to Inter Milan like 2 months later. So, by the way, I hope he has the final of his life on Saturday. I want Inter to win that.
Same.
But I think he's happy there, and I just don't think he's. I'm not saying Tony's better than Lukaku. Lukaku's Chelsea, then Man United, then Chelsea. He's obviously had Inter Milan spells in that time. He's been at Everton. I think it's just better for everyone that he's just sort of comfortable playing his football in Inter in Italy.
Yeah.
Very good goal scorer. And on his day can be unplayable, but I prefer Tony, I think, for what we need.
Yeah, I agree with Tony as well. I don't know if he would be happy with him being called a plan B though. I think Tony's a player that would fight to be that plan A. I'll tell you that. So
I agree. I fully agree with that. The way he plays is he's actually a very cultured footballer.
100%.
Yeah.
But listen, big up Lukaku. Hope you have the, like you said, like James said, hope you have the game of your life come Saturday. He's gonna had a hard career.
Do you want Inter to win that?
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. I do.
Some people, like some Arsenal fans, are a bit indifferent about it. I'm like, we can't have another team have a European Cup over us.
100%, and a treble as well, and a free. No. They've done a three-peat already, but the treble as well. I'd rather Inter win that. And Lukaku's had a tough career, in my opinion. There was him and Thierry Henry had a heart-to-heart, and I don't know if you've seen the interview, but it's got very deep, and he's gone through a lot. So I hope he caps off by beating Man City and scoring the winning goal come Saturday. That would be amazing.
I don't even know if he'll start. I know he's been in like good form the last few months, but Dzeko and Lautaro are they've been doing the job in the Champions League.
Also a very good player. Also very good players. Last super chat here. William says, entertaining the idea of signing Havertz is making me question if we're taking summer transfer business serious, lads.
Well, I mean, obviously they are. I mean, William, they obviously are thinking of signing Havertz, if they are, because they really rate him, not because they think, well, it's all a bit of a joke. Who could we pick up from Chelsea? They will do it. If they do that, it's because they genuinely think that he's the right player. I don't, but I've seen stranger things happen.
Stranger things happen. All right. Well, we actually are. I believe that's all the.
That's it. That's all the news. That's everything. So we've covered Caicedo, Gundogan, Maddison, Jorginho, Havertz, Rice, and Cancelo. How many of them made the thumbnail for him?
And Troy Deeney.
And Troy Deeney, we covered that apparent signing.
Yeah, I'm going to show you that clip after this. Listen, before
Troy Deeney is the example of what a backup, different option striker would have been.
100%.
And I don't think he's as tall as Havertz.
100%.
I might be wrong.
So, yeah, no, I'm going to show you the clip and we're going to go into it. But anyway, before we do round up for this show, I do want to say, guys, FANZONE, it's a bit of technology that we have here at AFTV where you guys can get involved. Very simple. Download the AFTV Plus app and sign up, and you can speak to us, to the viewers, and give your thoughts on all these stories. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I listen to a lot of people, a lot of sports pundits, a lot of ex-professional players, people in the media, the journalists, and sometimes I listen to them and I think, I want to say, no, let me say my point. Let me get my point across. I want to say this. What about this? You guys can do that with AFTV Plus on the app with FANZONE. Every Friday and Monday, we tend to go live and we speak to people all around the world. Doesn't matter where you are, and you can give your thoughts and opinions. Go and download it. Go and get involved. Have your say. This is what it's about. Speaking to as many fans as possible, and that gives you the best chance of doing it. I promise you, it's an amazing bit of technology, and you can have your say on a lot of these topics that we speak about throughout the week. I would love to do it. If I wasn't here on AFTV, give my thoughts, I'll be doing it. All you got to do is download it and get involved.
When I was ill, I went on FANZONE, and sort of blowing the trumpets of our amazing production team and everyone who's put it together here. But it's really kind of impressive, everyone. And we are bringing it as a far more regular feature so that everyone can be having their say. And I really, really encourage everyone to get the AFTV Plus app. It's fantastic. Go check out the AFTV website as well. That's where you're going to find a lot of written content. That's where you're going to find all your AFTV stuff filtered through. You're going to have quizzes and polls and everything. I mean, Cecil's told you everything, but honestly, I couldn't recommend it more highly. So get in the description below and have a little look. All right. Thank you for joining, man.
Oh, thank you.
We covered a lot there. That's why we went live, because there was a lot. And this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going live as and when transfer news really does pick up like it does, and we just need to just cover it all in an hour. Any breaking news, you'll see it first here on AFTV, and we will be having regular slots for FANZONE so that you can all come have your say. Look out for all that. Many thanks, everyone. We'll see you very soon.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.